SO's getting info that there's a suspect at 1880 Almond.
Copy 1880 Almond.
At 10:58 a.m., 2 armed gunmen entered the Inland Regional Center and committed the worst act of domestic terrorism since 9/11.
Working the radios all at the same time. Go with that last information.
At 3:14 p.m., these 2 gunmen were killed in a police shootout.
Male, dark-skinned is all I have on this frequency.
What led this seemingly average couple to commit such a violent act of terrorism? We will examine the San Bernardino massacre through its representation in the Washington Post and New York Times in the days immediately following the shooting, from December 2nd to December 6th, 2015. These 2 news sources focused many of their stories around the notion that everything seemed normal: the perpetrators, the office environment leading up to the shooting, and even the day of the shooting itself. Saeed Farook was a U.S.-born American citizen of Pakistani descent. His company was hosting the Christmas party that he and his wife attacked on December 5th. In 2014, Farook traveled to Saudi Arabia to marry Tashfeen Malik, a Pakistani-born woman who moved back with him to Redlands, California. On the morning of December 2nd, Farook left the department Christmas party at around 10:30 a.m. 28 minutes later, he returned with his wife wearing ski masks and tactical gear, armed with semi-automatic weapons. Within only 3 minutes, the couple shot close to 100 bullets, killing 14 people and injuring an additional 22. By 3:00 p.m., law enforcement was able to track down the shooters in Farook's rented Ford Expedition SUV, and the couple was killed in a police shootout. In the days following the shooting, it was uncovered that the shooters pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. Every news story uses specific frames which emphasize and de-emphasize certain aspects of an issue to define the problem, diagnose its causes, and propose a solution. Of the several media frames, the Wall Street Journal and New York Times commonly use a human interest framing approach. This method conveys the story through a personalized lens, highlighting human examples to communicate the shooting's effects and to generate emotions from the audience, including anger, empathy, and compassion. Within the human interest frame, 2 subframes emerge repeatedly throughout these articles: the normalization of the perpetrators and the emphasis on the unexpectedness of the event. Normalization of the perpetrators includes language such as, Farook had always been one of the most agreeable, the quietest, and also among the best at his job. Malik was a bright and religious young woman who appeared to have a promising future. The unexpectedness of the event was emphasized through words such as, Armanios was shot and killed, and then the shooters entered the conference room, where bagels and pastries were still sitting on a buffet table, and some employees had begun posing for staff pictures. Other articles similarly describe the lively and relatable dynamic of the office, with statements including, the center held its own holiday party Tuesday, a brief video clip showing staffers and clients in wheelchairs dancing to the 1980s mega hit Celebration by Kool and the Gang. How do these media frames affect the audience? By normalizing the perpetrators, underlining the unexpectedness of the event, and portraying the event as a human interest piece, the media highlights certain aspects of the story and de-emphasize others. In the case of San Bernardino, the media's normalization of aspects surrounding the shooting shifts the blame away from the government. The common rhetoric of everything seemed normal makes it appear like the government could never have anticipated the shooting. These human interest frames are effective because they put a face to the story. They distinguish it from other tragedies, and they avoid desensitization to the event. This portrayal can also lead to fragmentation bias, where stories appear as isolated events rather than part of a larger pattern or issue. The media's portrayal of the San Bernardino attack as an unexpected human interest piece fails to acknowledge the systemic pattern of gun violence and mass shootings in the United States. Only one article in our sample fully acknowledges the 5 other publicized mass shootings that occurred within 6 months of the San Bernardino attack.
We have a pattern now of mass shootings in this country that has no parallel anywhere else in the world.
Defining mass shootings as events in which 4 or more people are killed or injured, the San Bernardino shooting actually marks the 355th mass shooting in the United States in 2015. With the emphasis on San Bernardino's unexpectedness, combined with the recognition that these events are far more frequent than they seem, you realize this really could happen to you.